Good morning to you all. From Mission Alive, and I'm Father Pat Austin with another story from the Northern Territory. This time it's in the year 1973, and I was appointed to that wonderful little town on the Stuart Highway called Tennant Creek. Very cold in winter, but mightily hot in summer. And in a hot summer's day there was a knock on the door of the presbytery, and two middle-aged gentlemen presented themselves, walked into the presbytery, and I knew something was up. It took me a little while to realise that these two men were lost. That is, they were lost in spirit. And it took me not long after that to realise that unfortunately they were alcoholics. And they just attached themselves to me, followed me around everywhere. And it was a frightening experience really, because this is something that I hadn't catered for, provided for, what to do. So I was pretty weary by midday, but fortunately they said to me, "We're going downtown," and I knew what that meant, down to the local. And I looked at the church car park about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and they were both sprawled out on the ground, sleeping off what they'd had at the hotel. So I thought this might be a chance for me to go and say Mass, because in Tennant Creek nobody came to Mass during the week, you just said the Mass at any time of the day. So I was halfway through Mass when I looked up and I saw these 4 sets of fingers, these 4 hands, clawing at the louver windows of the chapel. They were trying to get in, and unfortunately what they were trying to do was to get some of the altar wine. I quickly finished the Mass because I saw that they weren't able to break the windows. For some reason or other I had forgotten to open them that day, and they were locked shut. Then we had to get something for them to eat, and they followed me around, and I was quite worn out by about 6 or 8 o'clock, and we were talking about their lives and they were telling their experiences, and they mentioned that they knew a Captain Kavanagh from the Salvation Army, and they were speaking in fond terms of him. And so I said, "Do you think he's still there in Alice Springs?" They said, "Oh yes, he's still there." So I said, "Well, why don't we give him a ring and see if he'd like to see you?" And they thought that was a great idea. And I'll never forget the reception I got when I rang this captain of the Salvation Army. "Yes, Father," he said, "send them down." So we had to organise their transport. Fortunately there was a bus going that night. It wasn't leaving till midnight. So I organised the tickets, took them down about 11:30 to where the bus stop was, and I knew that things were going to be a bit dicey because they were very, very hyped up, singing and making all sorts of comments and shouting. And I said, "Whatever you do, just settle down before you get on the bus." As it happened, the bus pulled up, and the bus driver was a very sort of severe sort of man, and he turned one passenger away. I said, "What hope have these two got with all the noise they're making?" They came up to the door, still shouting and singing, and the bus driver looked at them, then looked at me, and he realised that I was the one who had paid for their fare. And so after a bit of thought he nodded to them to come in. They came into the bus, still shouting and singing. They were waving at me through the window. But to this day I always thank God for the Salvation Army, and whenever they make an appeal I try and give some donation for them, in gratitude for that wonderful captain in Alice Springs who took my 2 friends off my hands. Thank you, Mission Alive.